Hey, it's the FitGearHunter here for an optical heart rate test for the Samsung Galaxy Watch 3. I'm here in my home gym, the outdoor portion of the home gym in CrossFit Homeward in Chapel Hill. And we're gonna get into the details of how does the Samsung Galaxy Watch 3 optical heart rate sensor hold up in true CrossFit tracking. So this website and YouTube channel is dedicated, so FitGearHunter.com and the FitGearHunter YouTube channel is dedicated to tracking devices that are purposeful for CrossFit and high intensity interval training. I'm also gonna do a full head-to-head comparison of the Apple Watch 6 versus the Samsung Galaxy Watch 3 in the upcoming days. So I've been tracking the optical heart rate sensor, so that's the baseline. So how does it hold up? We're gonna look at the details in three main areas. Number one, the average heart rate. Does it just in general, and we're gonna dedicate a smaller percentage to that tracking, but does it keep up in general with the optical heart rate sensor and on the average heart rate? Number two, in the zone 5. So your max heart rate in the zone 5 is the 90% to 100% of max heart rate. So you're doing CrossFit training and high intensity interval training. You wanna know that it's keeping track of the most intense zones, because that'll flow through to an estimate of how hard you worked and how hard you worked for how long. And if you were using a watch that actually tracked more in-depth training metrics like exertion level or recovery time between workouts and load over time, then that would even be more purposeful. But for any in simple senses, we're gonna just track the optical heart rate sensor. So zone 5 and then zone 4 and 5, which is 80% to 100% of max rate effort, just to see if it's generally catching the higher areas when you're peaking out in the middle of a Metcon in the middle of a WOD. So we're gonna get into the details now. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. I've got the TicWatch Pro 3 on the way. So gonna be starting that review as soon as I get it. I'm gonna do a massive review of all generic sort of smartwatches like the Samsung Galaxy Watch 3 or the Apple Watch 6 over the upcoming weeks. Just a massive review of just smartwatches with AMOLED displays in general. And then there's also obviously the next couple days, the Samsung Galaxy Watch 3 versus the Apple Watch 6, which are highly head-to-head components at this point in the market. So let's dive into the details of how the results turned out. Okay, so we have a workout going. We'll see how the optical heart rate sensor looks when it's firing. It's just too strong or multiple, I guess, packed into one centralized area that you're getting when the heart rate sensor fires like that. I guess it's not gonna go off because it can't detect it. Okay, so what do we see in the tracking the heart rate for the Samsung? So here we got two different lifting components, clean and jerk, separate from a clean pull, and then an EMOM every minute for 10 minutes. So the chest strap pulled 129 beats per minute average, and the Samsung pulled 133, so it overshot it just a bit. Off the chest strap, you'll see the peak 5 zone, 5.5 minutes, and then 9.45 minutes in the zone 4. The only way I could get the actual heart rate zones, because the app gives you more generic results, is in the watch itself, which is tragic. But you know, at least it's somewhat in the realm, 2 minutes and 15 minutes. Here's what the graph looks like though. So you can see the workout, so the lifting in the beginning and the chest in the graph in the end. And it's picking up some of it, so this is off the Samsung. So it's getting the trend, but just not getting the level of intensity. Next workout, deadlift, press in split with another, with an AMRAP on the end for 12 minutes. So 117 beats per minute average, 145 off of the Samsung. So this one, it was just way off. So we're not gonna really look at some of the details because you see the flow of the intense deadlifts followed by the SOTS press, and then the, 5 rounds for time, and then it just didn't track it. This was a failure one, but it hasn't always been like that. So again, snatch, front squat, and an EMOM 15 minutes, 126 beat per minute average, 120 there. This is what the graph looks like. So it's riding in the red towards the end, and it's following the trend though. So we're seeing that it is following the trend, which is useful information or helpful information. So, again, this is a 12-minute EMOM in the beginning and then a time, 4-time chipper. So a lot more intensity towards the end, 127 beat per minute average, 131. So this one is actually more accurate. 8 minutes in the red zone, about 8 minutes in the yellow zone, and it just missed the top zone. It lumped it all in the, the yellow zone, and you can see it here. So the lifting in the beginning with some peaks in the end. Another one. This one actually looks like, oh yeah, this one is the longer chipper. So this one is Was a long workout with some minor lifting in the beginning. So you have 136 beat per minute average off the chest strap, 140. So great, it's getting in the same zone. 20 minutes in the red, 6 minutes in the yellow. Here, 2 minutes in the red, but all the time in the orange. So that's zone 4. So you see the chart looks great. It's super intense, super longer workout, and it picked it up. It actually looks like the workout itself. It just didn't get it for high enough. Not intense enough. Here's a bunch of back squats with, for time, there was 2 intense workouts with a 5-minute rest in between, 107 beats per minute average, 120, so it's overshooting it on the Samsung. And then we have each of the intense workouts. You can see it's somewhat in the realm there. Here's what it looks like off the chest strap on the graph. And then it picked it up somewhat. So it's, again, somewhat in the ballpark, but not enough. So here are the stats when you look at it. So it's getting the average heart rate right, 106% of average heart rate. But the zone 5, that peak red zone, it is just failing, 36%. Although it is putting most of those minutes at least in zone 4, which is 80% or more of your max heart rate. So it's getting a score there, but we overweight for CrossFit evaluation, high intensity interval evaluation, if an optical heart rate sensor is tracking zone 5 at that peak level accurately enough. And so we see the final result, and obviously this is all done alongside the Apple Watch 6, with 67% accuracy. So that means that 33% is left on the table. Neither of these watches actually track the intensity at the very analytical aspect, and they don't give you training load, they don't give you recovery time. But either way, when just assessing the accuracy of the Samsung Galaxy Watch 3 for CrossFit and high intensity interval training, it's 67% accurate. Let's go back for a summary. So we can see that the Samsung Galaxy Watch 3 final score turned out low at 67%. So basically still getting a DF rating. It is better than the Polar heart rate sensor. So the Polar came in at 60%. It's better than the Suunto 7, which came in at 40%, way off the charts. It's not as good as the Garmin Elevate heart rate sensor that's on the majority of their watches right now that came in at 80%, and it's not nearly as good as the Apple Watch 6 that came in at 97%, which is crazy. It is a tragedy that they do not offer more training metrics built into the watch for the Apple Watch 6. So this came in at 67%, but as we saw in the video, it was interesting that it followed the graph. So it is catching the peak rises of heart rate. It's just not catching them at the level that I'm taking it to. It's just not quite keeping up, but it is tracking the flow of the workout a little bit better than what I felt was my experience when tracking the Garmin Elevate sensor, which did get a higher score of 80%. So take that for what it's worth. It is somewhat tracking accurately when you're using it, but as I always say, when doing CrossFit training or high intensity interval training, you've got to wear a chest strap. So again, this is the FitGearHunter. Thanks so much for watching.